Hello everybody, welcome to the third weekend of racing for the DSBK UAE National Championship. We're here at the Dubai Autodrome once again on the full Grand Prix layout in beautiful, typical Dubai conditions. What's set to be an exciting qualifying session, 15 minutes ahead to decide the grid for our first of two races for today's bike racing action. Hello everybody, Scott Woodwis here on commentary to give you all of the guidance and action through today's action. It should be a quite exciting day of bike racing, of course, as part of this NGK Dubai Racing Weekend. You can see we're using the full Grand Prix circuit this weekend, 5.4 kilometers in length, and the temperature about sort of 19 degrees, 42% humidity in clockwise direction. It should be quite a fascinating spectacle all round. Well, this is actually the third event, but only the second time that we're actually going to go racing. Our first race weekend was all the way back towards the middle of November. We were scheduled to go racing in February, but the weather gods started to play a bit of part in that, and unfortunately racing couldn't take place at what was scheduled to be the previous rounds in February. But we're back here, the weather is much better, much brighter and much warmer, and the conditions are just about perfect for superbike racing today here in Dubai. So, for those who are new to this one, this is essentially a brand new or particularly new incentive for motorsport in Dubai. Of course, there's been plenty of events and track days that have been held when it comes to this. You can see the schedule that we have here today. The qualifying session coming up in around about a couple of minutes' time. Then we have the two races scheduled at 11:40 and 3:20 UAE time. Be sure to tune in for those on YouTube. And also hello to everybody who's watching on motorsport.tv as well around the world. It should be another amazing spectacle. You can see there a few of our riders getting ready as we are all set to go qualifying in just a few moments' time. You're looking at rider number 86. That's Tom Robson, who is the Brit in the field. He's part of the rookies lineup, but he's in the Super Stocks ranking. So there's these three different points tables in this championship, which is the Super Stock, Modifieds and a combined Rookies Championship. And Tom Robson actually heads the points table in the Rookies with 50 points coming into this third weekend, but this only set the actual racing weekend in many cases, ahead of Rodion Yashkov in second place on 40, then Mohamed Samshir on 32, Hussein Balaut on 22, and Munahad Bakhadiag on 20 points. In terms of the Super Stocks, it's Manuel Parra who is currently leading with 50 points ahead of Firas Abu Ghanem, the Lebanese rider, on the Yamaha with 40 points. Tom Robson is also third in Super Stock at the moment on 32 points ahead of Rodion Yashkov in fourth on 24. And then another Brit, Graham Purvis, who is on 20 points ahead of Matteo Minero, the Italian, on 20 also, so a tie for fifth. Mohamed Samshir currently seventh on 17, then Balaut on 15, and Bakhdiag on 13. In the modified class, it's the man who took two victories overall in modifieds. That's Said Al Salati on the Yamaha R6. He's on 50 points too. And Johan Gauss, the South African. And the next it will be Adrian Andranash from Romania on 31 points. Only a point behind Gauss, so he'll have a good chance to try and pick up some better points this time. And Florian Belladino on 20 points on the Yamaha 2. He's currently fourth in modifieds. So the qualifying session is now underway. 15 minutes for qualifying. As you can see, the riders are already starting to line up at the end of the pit lane, and they are headed, by the looks of it, by bike number 8. And on bike number 8, it will be, or at least bike number 6 it might well be from that long shot, or bike number 5. That might well be Saskia Tataro, who is making his championship debut here this weekend. We're seeing rider 20 heading down the pit lane, which is Yuri Nekrasov. We'll talk you through some of the riders and how they got on in practice, and also some of their previous races and experience, and how they got on in the previous rounds if they competed back in November as the weekend and as the session goes on. The riders are already mounting up and getting themselves down to the end of pit lane. As I say, it's the full Grand Prix circuit. It's the full circuit that they use for a lot of car racing events. Of course, this weekend also being shared as part of the NGK Racing Weekend with the Golf Radical Cup and the Golf Pro Car Series. And they've been out this morning already for qualifying and warm-up sessions. So a little bit of rubber has been laid down already this morning in these early hours. So a good chance for these riders to get themselves active as the field gets its way back onto the circuit and out after their two test sessions yesterday to get qualifying underway, with Said Al Salati, who was one of the first riders to lead them out, along with Mohammed bin Ladin. And now they make their way out to take their first exploratory laps of Dubai Autodrome on Saturday morning, as the qualifying session gets the green light. 15 minutes to decide who grabs pole position. not just overall, but in their respective classes also. So the riders make their way around on the outlap to just again explore the grips, see if there's been any extra rubber that's been laid down by these cars in the prior sessions. And this is the great thing about motorsport in the Middle East, is that they're continuing to bring more and more elements of different kinds of motorsport here. Of course, and bike racing is becoming the latest sensation for them. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on, they've held events like track days and other different events in previous times, but this is the first time they've properly got ahead and started running a bike racing championship of that kind. And of course, the first event took place in around about mid-November. There was also meant to be the event which was all planned. There was some great publicity around it in February, but the weather sadly played against the event, so the on-track running couldn't happen, unfortunately. And we are here for the third event, but it's our second proper time of getting them out on track. They do have one more event coming up after this weekend, which is set to take place next month, and that's on the 20th of April, and that will be on the international layout. 4 different layouts used throughout this UAE National Championship. They started on the national layout. They were due to race on the club layout in February, had it not been called off. And then we have the full Grand Prix layout here this weekend, and the international layout being used in April. It's actually, it looks like a 25-minute session rather than a 15-minute session. So the qualifying gets on. So I'll correct myself on that one. 25 minutes of qualifying to try and determine who takes pole overall, but also in the classes respectively. There you see number 33 winding up for a lap. 33, Firas Abu Ghanem, who scored some very strong results at the round back in November. Took 2 third places overall and was in that sort of lead group that was battling for kind of third backwards. There was a collective of 4 or 5 bikes that were scrapping over that overall podium spot. Oof, really some on-track action going on here. That's not even a race yet. That is Abu Ghanem trying to find some space as he works his way through a couple of the other bikes on track. Finding his lines as he makes his way towards rounds 5 and 6. And then just making their way back around before they get to the long straight. So we'll see times coming in very shortly to see where people are in terms of lap time. But the 2 bikes at the moment that are setting the on-track pace are Mohammed bin Ladin, number 88, you can see there in blue and silver, and the white and red number 11 of Saeed Al Salati, who won both races overall last time out when they raced back in November. And Saeed, who is a guest rider from Qatar, and he's been riding on and off for the last 3 seasons or so, but he has been doing the full championship here this season. His courtesy of his sponsor, VME Valves. And he also races at Lusail in Qatar, which this weekend is playing host to the opening rounds on 4 wheels of the FIA World Endurance Championship. He races in the Qatar KMMF Championship, and he's one of the top runners there, and he's been racing for many years, with some of it also being over in mainland continental Europe, over in Spain. Of course, Spain over there, that's quite a bike racing country when it comes to motorsport. Like some Marc Marquez and other top riders from that country. He's certainly been learning on some of those European circuits quite well in Spain. Just looking to try and be the favourite to take top honours overall. He set a 2 minutes 8 in Friday free practice. He's winding up to complete his first lap, comes across the line and splits the timing beam and puts in his first lap for 2:7.767. So it's faster than the lap he achieved yesterday in testing. So good to see that Saeed Al Salati not wasting any time at all in getting it, as he immediately runs wide onto the runoff area, which there is plenty of it here at Dubai Autodrome. It's the first few times coming in, but the benchmark has been laid down by Saeed Al Salati. Second place is that man there in the green, on the green Kawasaki, which is Saskia Totaro, making his first appearance of the weekend. There he is, Saskia. Saskia, who is a local resident, who is from Italy and South Africa. He's been a local championship competitor for 6 years now. Usually you find him at the sharp end of the field, so it's no surprise to have seen him up there towards the top of the times in testing yesterday. And the biggest difference for him this season is he's usually been used to riding a twin-cylinder Ducati, which he has done for the last 6 years. But he is now onto the inline 4 of the Kawasaki. He says there's not much change, and he's still quick with a 2 minutes 10 from Friday free practice, and backed by Kawasaki UAE and Motozu. As you see there, Mohammed bin Ladin just kicking out the leg to steady himself under brakes at the end of the long back straight. As the time's coming in, at the moment, you can see that there is, so far, Said Al Salati has the fastest time by quite some margin, 2 minutes 7.767 for the Qatari rider on board the Yamaha R6. And then it's second for Saskia Totaro, and then Mohammed bin Ladin third fastest, and this is the top three overall, and in the Al Yusuf Motors modified class. If we look at the individual class runners in the mix, you will find that at this early point in time, have a look by class at the moment. So the current modified standings at the moment are Al Salati from Totaro from bin Ladin, then Florin Berladinu, the Romanian rider, on 2 minutes 14.0, as we see here, 33, which is Firas Abou-Ghanem, who is currently top of the Superstock standings. He comes up to complete another lap here at the end of the straight, comes across, and there's a 2:10.931, so that moves him up in the overall order. He's now currently clear at the moment on Superstock pole, given the fact that there are a few more proper lap times to come in, one of which is just coming from Manuel Parra, I think just behind him in bike 34. There is the 55 of Florin Berladinu on the modified number 55 Yamaha R6. But the gap at the moment in Superstock, the pole margin in class, is quite substantial, because Abou-Ghanem was on a 2 minutes 10.931 compared to Manuel Parra on a 2:12.592. Just to see there, looks like Abou-Ghanem just backing off a little bit and just running wide. But Florin Berladini was the one that's running a little wide, so we keep on the focus on him. We should just give a mention to the rookies, Supersport rookies in the mix, because we've got Tom Robson who still leads that way, so we continue to focus on Mohammed bin Ladin. But whilst we look at them, I'm just keeping an eye on the rookies at the moment. Tom Robson still has pole for them, again by quite some margin, over 3 seconds at the moment, from Khalfan Al-Kalbi. I'll get my words out eventually. And it's Marwan Almheri in third fastest, Mohammed Samshir fourth fastest, Muhammad Bakadlag in fifth, and Hussein Balaut on P6 at the moment. So a bit of a spread in times. In terms of the overall running, it's still Salati from bin Ladin from Totaro, and then the first of the super stocks of Firas Abou-Ghanem, fourth fastest. Bin Ladin has improved his time to a 2 minute 9.796, so he's continuously getting quicker here as he makes his way down towards the final corner. Turns his way in, just finds the apex late and just starts to wind the throttle on with his right wrist. Just tucks in for optimal aerodynamic efficiency, and he puts in a lap that gives him a 2 minute, his last lap was a 2 minute 9.497. So that does improve his time further. He's got the margin between himself and Al Salati down to 1.7 seconds, but he immediately backs off at the end of that fast lap. So he'll either come back into pit lane, give the bike a quick check over, and back out once more he'll go. Here is Saskia Totaro, the part Italian, part South African. Again, getting used to that Kawasaki after many years riding on the Ducati. Seems to be adapting pretty quickly. He's got the bike 69 behind him, Marwan Almheri. He's one of the Superstock rookies in the field. He's currently at the moment third in the Superstock rookie class and 12th overall in the time. Still Tom Robson who leads that. He's just gone through and set a new best time of 2 minutes 17.270 to go 9th fastest overall, and still comfortably top of the rookie pack in this qualifying session. Just coming up to about half distance, as we see here. Pole sitter Said Al Salati turns his way out of the final corner and back onto the straight again. He's winding up for another fast lap, as is also Saskia Totaro. He's got some time to find if he can. Nearly 2.5 seconds to find on the pole sitter. And under brakes, steadies himself on the Kawasaki. Just turns his way left and then right. Just clipping the apexes nice and neat. Finds a bit of a late apex here for turn 3 and 4. And then out through 5. And then hits both the apexes here. The first initial part of the apex here lets the bike run out wide, and then just the very sort of ever-decreasing radius of turn 6 clips the inside neatly. Then again, another long arcing corner back through turn 7, ever so slightly banked as well, so that will help with momentum all the way through the corner. And he really gets to stretch the legs of the Kawasaki ZX6R down this long back straight. Of course, just hunkering down for better aerodynamic efficiency. In terms of the micro sectors, on this lap currently, even though it might not be a personal best, it seems, Totaro is still 3/10 slower than Al Salati. Looks as though the Qatari rider, with all that experience, not just racing in Qatar, but also in Spain, is certainly putting it all to good use. As he makes his way out of another, like these many tight hairpins and tight corners here at Dubai, where acceleration is absolutely key to us, particularly with these faster modified bikes. Mohammed bin Ladin has just improved his time to continue with second fastest, but his last lap now has put him now to just 1.7 away. He has now come into pit lane, as is also Firas Abu Ghanem, who is still fastest. We saw their rider 35. Was it 39 it might have been? If that was the case, that would have been Mohammed Samshir, who is still in the mix. Here comes Al Salati. He's going to try and improve his time from 2.7.7. Across the line he goes. He's got some traffic to go through, and he does improve on that lap. He's got even faster, lowered the benchmark by another 0.4 or so. 2 minutes 7.302 on the VME Valves modified class Yamaha R6. And again, that's his lap done, so he'll immediately move out of the way out of courtesy for some of the faster riders that are coming through on their hot laps. Now we see Yuri Nekrasov, who is having a decent run. He's inside the top 10 at the moment, 7th fastest and 3rd in super stock on a 2 minutes 15.455. He's got some work to do to try and fight to get a little bit closer to both Abu Ghanem and Manuel Parra, because they are some 4 or 5 seconds better than him at the moment. So a bit of a spread in terms of times, but there looks to be could be some good race pace in here in terms of competition if everything closes back up together. Still got just less than 11 minutes to go, less than 12 minutes to go until that one. We see number 49, just at the end of the long back straight. That is Hussein Balaut. And currently at the moment, bottom of the times on a 2:34.631. He's got a little bit of work to do to try and get a little bit higher if he can. And some more of the faster riders just picking their way through, finding traffic. And this is the tricky thing with qualifying in many cases. You've got to try and find your space here. And if you do come across other riders, you can get a little bit of a tow if you know that you've got a bit more speed over them, particularly if you're in a different class. But you've got to be very careful not to get too caught up behind them, because that can only spoil a fast lap, and all the advantage that you might have gained from getting a tow from them can be completely eradicated if you find yourself, unintentionally or not, getting caught up in the braking zone and possibly spoiling the lap. So there goes Saskia Totaro. Now he's got about a quarter of a second to find to try and unseat Mohammed bin Ladin from second fastest. Here comes Saskia, across the line he goes, and doesn't improve his time. That last time was a 2 minutes 10.677, so he's about roughly a second off his best time in the session so far with that effort. He'll make his way back down towards turn 1. He's pushing on for another fast lap, it seems. Let's see what the Kawasaki can produce. It's currently the Yamaha fastest. The Yamaha 1-2, in fact, as Al Salati has come into the pits. Bin Ladin is back out to try and improve on 2 minutes 9.497, and to try and possibly even increase the gap that he currently has over Saskia Totaro. You can see there, just behind him, Yuri Nekrasov, who is still sitting in 3rd in Superstock, 7th overall. Has got a 2:15.455 to better. Out of the long sort of banked hairpin and onto that back straight once again. Bin Ladin on his outlap at the moment. So through this winding infield section. It's coming up to turn 12, which again is one of these many corners on this circuit that have this ever decreasing radius and late apex. It's quite an interesting and unique circuit that's been put together here for Dubai Autodrome, but it has been here for several years. And it's provided quite a unique challenge, as I mentioned, in the world of four-wheel racing. But of course, this is now a completely different challenge here for bikes to tackle a circuit like this. Of course, bike racing, no stranger to racing in this part of the world, particularly, of course, when we have the Qatar Grand Prix in MotoGP at the Losail circuit. So they too are very familiar with bike racing in this part of the world. Here comes Mohammed bin Ladin. He's winding up for a fast lap. Let's see what he can do. He goes straight to the pit wall to get the shortest run down towards turn 1 he can. Swings it back towards the edge of the circuit for the racing line. Spots his braking point. And now just sticks his leg out to just steady himself under brakes and turn in. There's the timings on the left-hand side of the screen you can see here. Best laps. So at the moment, as you mentioned, Saeed Al Salati still fastest on a 2-minute 7.302. It's a modified 1-2-3 at the top of the overall times. The top two in super stocks are 4th and 5th. It's Salati from bin Ladin and Totaro 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Firas Abu Ghanem currently on super stock pole in 4th, but the top two in super stock are in pit lane along with Florin Berladinu, the Romanian on bike 55. Yuri Nekrasov is still out there and trying to improve. He did a 2 minutes 14 dead last time and actually improved his time with that effort. And he's managed to get himself a little bit closer now, only about roughly 1.4 seconds away from the next best rider, which is Belladini, but he's still quite a way away from some 2 seconds from Manuel Parra in second fastest. Look at that. Mohammed bin Ladin just wiggling the back end of the bike around under braking. Manages to just about get it anchored up in time as he swings now through this little tricky sequence of corners. So he's managed to take it through turn 10, through 11, through this late apex of 12 and back on the power once again, just turning on the power with his right wrist. And then as the circuit starts to meander its way back through towards the end of the lap, that flat out turn 13, and just a very tricky braking zone, keep braking a straight line, find the apex mid-corner. Again, sort of late apex here to straighten the bike up on the exit for 14, through 15. Then making his way towards the final corner. Let's see, is there any improvement at all from Mohammed bin Ladin on this lap? It's looked fairly tidy. And on the Yamaha, we'll find out if there's an improvement. He's got to try and better if he can a personal best effort of 2 minutes 9.927. And he has gone to a 2 minute 8.833. So he does improve. He's now gone to just 1.5 seconds away from Al Salati. So a better effort that time from the young Saudi rider. He's currently flying the flag high for the up-and-coming youth in motorsport in that country. He's not new to competition. He's also someone else like Al Salati who has ridden in the European series, particularly in the European Yamaha R3 Cup and also in the Honda ETC European Championship. And has made it believe that this young man potentially is on a path to have a successful race career, and he's going to show his talents this weekend. His very first 600cc race, or race on a 600cc bike. So he's stepping up to the biggest capacity bike that he's ridden since he began racing, according to my notes here. Certainly proving to be pretty impressive on his first outing this weekend. He's coming up onto the back of bike 69, which is Marwan Almheri. Marwan, who is at the moment in the Superstock class, and in terms of the rookies, he's currently in Superstocks, 7th in Superstocks, and he is 3rd best of the rookies. That pole is still being held by Tom Robson in 9th overall. His best time at the moment is a 2 minute 17.183, so he remains on the Superstock rookie pole. No change for Firas Abu Ghanem on overall Superstock pole, which is a 2 minutes 10.931, so we'll keep an eye on him. Less than 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. And in terms of if anyone's still in pit lane, about half the field are in pit lane at the moment, just making some last checks, I'm sure, before they go for one last flyer to see if they've got anything left, and one last roll of the dice to try and go quicker, to make a couple of moves up the timing screen. as Bin Ladin slides up the inside of Marwan Al-Maheri into the last corner. Now, will that compromise his lap if he's trying to go quicker? And his last lap was a 2 minutes 8.833. Does he go better this time? No, he doesn't. 2:11.494. So he was actually quite a way off the pace on that lap. Still pushing on. Again, just the way he just backs the bike into the corner and then immediately backs off. They do push as hard as they can right to the end of that straight to try and find the limit, the optimal braking point. And it's fantastic to watch the back end of that bike just move and squirm around under braking as he tries to find the right point just to get it anchored up. He's backed off on that lap and he's going to try again later on. This is Sasuke Sotaro on the Kawasaki, back out once again. And he's got a best lap of 2 minutes 9.727 to try and better. Still third overall and in the modified class. It looks as though he is currently winding up for a fast lap too. His last lap looks like it was an out lap. 3 minutes, so he's on a quick lap here. And we'll see if he can improve. His first sector was essentially, in terms of the current lap time which Al Salati is putting down, he's matched him in sector 1, but he's off by about 6 or 7 tenths compared to Al Salati's current lap at the moment, so that just shows the difference in pace. Very evenly matched in sector 1, but it's sector 2 in particular where Al Salati has that advantage in terms of speed. That Yamaha seems to be a bit more agile through the corners than the Kawasaki is, and is able to handle this full Grand Prix circuit that little bit better. Here comes Totaro, winds it onto the pit straight, hunkers down for better speed down the straight, and with that lap actually puts himself to second. So up to second fastest goes Sasuke Totaro, and he's bettered Bin Laden's second place time by about a tenth of a second. So good effort from Sasuke to go onto the front row for race 1 later on today. Kawasaki has managed to split the Yamahas at the top of the overall times. He's backed off, hopefully feeling rather satisfied with that effort. If he wants to beat Said Al Salati's time, he's still got another 1.4 seconds to find, which won't be an easy task, particularly as we are getting towards the end of the session, but it looks like he's backed off, so I think that will be his session done. Gives a little wave to the marshals. So just touring back round to the pits, so don't mind me. I think Sasuke can be pleased at least with that effort. As you mentioned, more used to riding a Ducati than a Kawasaki. So after having ridden the twin cylinder bike, he's now got this inline 4 of the Kawasaki to get to grips with. And certainly has been doing so, evidently, pretty quickly without too much drama. Here's Mohammed Bin Ladin trying to improve here. Now his gauntlet's been thrown down. He's got to find at least about a tenth and a half here to claim that runner-up spot in qualifying back again. Makes his way out of turn 9 onto the long back straight, which is where again he sort of sits down right underneath the aero screen just to try and get the best possible aerodynamic efficiency. Keeps it pinned all the way down, and watch this bike again. He loves to back it in here where he can. Again, a little bit as he tries to rotate the bike in through turn 10. Neat and smoothly on the power, makes the weight shift through 11. Back through 12. This Yamaha looking pretty hooked up at the moment. We'll just keep an eye on the sector time to see if I can determine if he's on a possible better lap or so. His first sector was a first sector was a 44.014. That's about half a second off. And again, he's another 8 tenths off in the second sector from what would be pole time. So this doesn't look as though this final effort's going to be good enough, I think, to do anything to improve his lap time. And he comes across, ironically, Sasuke Totaro on his cooldown lap. But even so, can't see this lap time being bettered. And I think Totaro has second wrapped up as Bin Ladin turns in through the final corner. Let's see what his final lap is representative of anyway. Onto the pit straight he comes. What is the final time for Bin Ladin on his last flying lap? And it is a 2 minutes 9.759. He takes the checkered flag in the session. And it looks as though, unless another one of the modified class bikes is going to pull in an absolute stormer from somewhere out of the bag, that Said Al Salati will pick up where he left off. Took 2 victories here in November. looking to try and make it 3 from 3 in terms of races that have been run so far this season. You'll find out if you can in race number 1. He's got the pace in qualifying, but he's got to now translate that once again into pace in the race. Saskia Totaro and Mohammed bin Ladin, good efforts on their first appearances this weekend. The checkered flag flies on this morning's qualifying session for the DSBK UAE National Championship. So fine effort from all involved. We should also salute our other class pole sitters. The overall Superstock pole sitter is the Faras Abughanam. So Faras, the Lebanese rider, picking up 4th overall fastest time. Good effort from him to get in amongst some of the modifieds. And here is the result then. So Al Salati fastest time overall, a modified pole for Saskia Totaro and Mohammed bin Ladin, the top 3 in modifieds and overall. Faras Abughanam on Superstock pole, 4th fastest from Manuel Parra in P5. Florian Belladino on the modified bike in 6th. Yuri Nekrasov 7th and 3rd in Superstock. Then Tom Robson, who's on the Superstock and rookie pole, 8th fastest from Adrian Andranash. And then it's Matteo Minera and Kalfan Al-Karbi rounding out to the 9th and 10th positions. 11th, and then it's Marwan Al-Mheri, Mohamed Samshir, Johan Gauss back in 14th. Then Muhannad Bakadlag and Hussein Balaut rounding out the 16 riders that completed qualifying this morning. Quite a wide time spread, but in terms of that time looking pretty competitive throughout the field, and we'll see how they fare in race 1 later on this afternoon. So riders on circuit will be touring back in. There'll be some usual post-session checks. All in all, a drama-free session there for all involved. And this will be a great chance for Saeed Al Salati to try and cement his advantage at the top of the UAE National Championship. Given the fact that, as we talked about, he came into the weekend with the advantage of leading the modified class by some 18 points from Johan Gauss. And the other point scorer is quite far back in terms of pace, but he has got, if they can keep with him in race pace, some competition potentially in the form of Saskia Totaro and Mohammed bin Ladin. So we'll keep an eye and see if they can get a good start from race 1 and at least give him an initial challenge. But if Saeed Al Salati is able to get into his rhythm like he was back in November, I think there's every chance that he's got a prime opportunity to do exactly what he did in November back on the shorter layout, and that is pick up 2 more victories. But of course, this is bike racing, so anything can happen. So we'll wait and see. But under the sunshine here in Dubai at the Autodrome, here just on the outskirts of Motor City, it has been quite a fine session so far. You can see that that's Tom Robson taking a quick glance at the timing screen. He'll be delighted with taking Superstock pole. Of course, he wants to try and sustain his Superstock rookie points lead, currently leading by 10 points over Rodion Yashkov, who's not here this weekend. So he's got a great chance to extend his lead. Also a good opportunity for Mohammed Samshir to try and get a good result and pick up some points to at least go to try and get second in the points from Yashkov not being here this weekend. Others who will try and benefit from that are going to be Hussein Balaut and Muhannad Bakadlag. And of course, we've got a couple more riders in the mix who are also making their debuts. You've got the likes of in there too, the likes of Marwan Al-Mheri, who is also here, also for the first time too. So a great effort for those all around. And as we mentioned, in terms of the timetable coming up, qualifying is complete. The next 2 races that we have are currently scheduled to take place. The first one, and around about just before 12 o'clock, 11:55 is the first time it's scheduled. The second race is scheduled to take place at around about 25 to 4 local UAE time. So there's a bit of some downtime here between qualifying and race 1 for the teams to do a bit more fettling and fine-tuning to find a bit more speed in the bikes. There's Tom Robson talking to his engineer about some of the efforts. Of course, Tom Robson, quickly just filling you in on him very, very quickly before we get close to wrapping up our broadcast here. Tom, local resident from England, is in his rookie season and proved to be the rookie to beat in round 1, as was mentioned. He's currently leads that category. He's had a few gremlins to deal with at the start of Friday's free practice, but he did manage a 2:17 by the end of free practice 2, and it should be a tight battle between himself Kaufman Al-Kabi and Sam Shear at the front. But the initial first strike has gone to Tom Robson with that pole position time. And he'll want to try and maintain his advantage both in the session and also in the point standings on top of that. There is the crew for bike 55, which is Florin Berladinu, guest rider from Romania, doing his first full season in the UAE Championship. He's got many years of experience, and he's also been an overall 600cc Romanian champion in bike racing circles during the 2023 season. Pretty competitive in Friday practice yesterday, sponsored by Walid Al-Shamay's Racing. And a decent effort for him to get in and around the top 10 for Florence, certainly proving his effort. And this is what's great about this championship, that it's not just riders from Dubai or the surrounding countries in the Middle Eastern region, but you've got some European riders in here in the mix as well, the likes from Italy, from the UK, from Romania, from a few other different countries around there as well, and also riders that have not just from there, but also experience racing in Europe as well, where bike racing is a lot more prominent. And of course, this is a more developing market for a sector of motorsport within the Middle East, of course, bike racing. And while as I mentioned, there are things such as the Qatar Grand Prix at the Losail circuit for MotoGP, actual bike racing below that is still developing. So it's been pretty good. So that is a competitive qualifying session. And we'll give you some highlights here, just what happened on track as we prepare to step away from our first part of the sessions here at the Dubai Autodrome. 2 races coming, of course, scheduled for 5 to 12 for race 1 and about 25 to 4 for race number 2 for the next rounds of the DSBK UAE National Championship. From all of us here at Dubai for the time being, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to come back to us in a couple of hours' time for race 1 of the day here at Dubai Autodrome. But until then, from Scott Woodward and all of us here at Dubai, thanks for tuning in. Catch us for race 1 in a couple of hours' time.